Well, good morning. Are you ready for some unindoctrination? I hope so, because ready or not, here it comes. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you from the heartland of America, coming in the spirit of 1776 and with a rebel yell. One flag means that people were tired of tyrants 4,000 miles away. The other means people were tired of tyrants 400 miles away. And together they represent to me that we're tired of tyrants, period. And in case you want to call me a dirty, filthy racist, I want you to notice, and most of you don't know this because you don't know this, that if you look at the positioning of those flags, the original Star-Spangled Banner is there in the place of honor. And the flag of my heritage, the Confederate battle flag, is there in the subservient position. So just so you know, but at any rate, we're tired of tyrants, period. We've drawn a line in the sand. The same blood that ran through these veins runs through ours, and we're not going to take it anymore. We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the other way, but either way, we're going to do it because we're tired of what you've been doing to us. You brought it to us. We didn't start the fight, but we'll finish it. And Brandon knows something about finishing fights. He's from Tennessee. But anyway, folks, we've got a very interesting subject today. Bible prophecy is communist propaganda. And those aren't just words that I throw out there, but they are words that are very well thought out. Yeah, Brandon. In fact, Cynthia was saying, remember the guy with the guitar? We haven't seen him in a while. And here you are back. See, we do talk about you, folks, and we talk about you in very positive terms. And did you notice that I ironed the flags? I took those flags down and I actually ironed them. You can't get all of the wrinkles out, but they do look a lot better, right? And these, man, when I used to iron, you just turn it on and you iron. Cynthia's, it's got 18 settings. You got to hold it right. You got to say the magic words. And back in the day, it was just easy to iron. It's not so much easy to iron anymore, ladies and gentlemen. But Bible prophecy is communist propaganda. It's easy to say that, but it's not so easy to prove that. Actually, it's really easy to prove that. And the question is, how long does it take? Why is it taking us so long to see this? And the answer is because nobody would tell us. I also want to tell you about focused life force energy. It is a beautiful high consciousness field that is beamed to you on demand. EMF mitigation, grounding, helps you uptake the nutrients into your system of both what you eat and what you drink, which is going to be important to me because I'm starting a big fast tomorrow. And we are going, and this will also help your animals, help your pets. It is a tremendous service, and you should go to jeffreydaugherty.com, look at it, order it, and it's going to be a real change in your life. You know, prophecy has always been a bit of a irritant to me, because even back when I was a preacher, everybody wants to hear about prophecy. Prophecy is Christian porn. Prophecy is Christian porn. They all want to hear about prophecy. Nobody wants to hear about how to be a decent human. Nobody wants to hear about how to love yourself. Nobody wants to hear about how to love your neighbor. Nobody wants to hear about being a decent human. They want to hear about prophecy. Tell us about prophecy. And there's no difference today. If you're looking in churches, what's the number one thing that sells in Christianity? Prophecy. What's the number one thing that sells with the ass media? Those other guys and girls on YouTube that are doing nothing but making money. And I don't know if they're deluded or just deceptive. That's not really my place to say, even though I do weigh in with opinions now and again. But they are also talking about prophecy, because prophecy is Christian crack. Prophecy is Bible porn. That's what it is. So let's take a look at it, and let's break down what's really going on and why are we always talking about prophecy? Why is it communist and why is it propaganda? We're going to take a very systematic approach. We're going to look at what prophecy is. We're going to look at what communism is. We're going to look at what propaganda is. And then we're going to look at irrefutable or irrefutable, whichever way you prefer, evidence that Bible prophecy is communist propaganda, and we just haven't seen it in these many years. Now, what is prophecy? Let's start there. The Bible college answer, and I did go to Bible college and graduate from Bible college. The Bible college answer to what is prophecy is that there's actually two meanings. One is to foretell. Prophecy means to get a divine message and tell it to people. That's the number one meaning of prophecy. The other meaning of prophecy is to foretell. Foretell and foretell, or speak of the future events, usually predicting what will come to pass. Now, today, for our purposes, we're going to talk about prophecy as foretelling, prediction, the future. That's what we're going to talk about. And as such, prophecy as foretelling is getting a message that a prophet claims they've got from a deity and then bringing that prophet to you. All these people in the ass media. Jeff, why do you call them the ass media? Well, because the mainstream media is the mass media. And I got a realization. People say, oh, I got a revelation. A revelation comes from some type of a God, some type of an entity, some type of a being. And all revelations are programming. But people that are woke, I hate that word, people that are really seeking truth don't have revelations. Because people that have revelations are getting them from other entities. People that are seeking truth get realizations. Oh, dude, I got a realization today about the mass media, and I'll share that with you later on at some point. But prophecy is when some girl or some guy, like these people in the ass media on YouTube, say, I, me, the prophet, I, me, the guru, I, me, the preacher, I, me, the minister, me. They sound like they're warming up for the orchestra. Me, I got a message from the deity, and you, lowly you, can only understand this message from me. Do you understand the enormity of ego? Do you understand the depths of depravity that would cause a person to go on YouTube and with a straight face say, I got a message from the divine that you can only get from me? Are you kidding me? If you think you got a message from the divine that only you can get, I don't want any of that shit. See what I did with that little rhyme? I'm trying not to cuss so much. But if there's really a message from a divinity, if there's really a message from a deity, it's not given to one person, two persons. It's given to all persons. And ain't nobody special, but they think they are. That's why they want to get paid. And a lot of times that's how they get laid, but we're not going to talk about that. And the Catholic Encyclopedia, and that's very key, defines prophecy as the foreknowledge of future events. So that's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What is prophecy? And this blew me away. I did not know this until yesterday. According to Judaism, and this is important because Judaism is the source of all things Christian. According to Judaism, Kester, that's funny, authentic prophecy was withdrawn from the world after the destruction of the first Jewish temple. Do you hear that? According to Judaism, the Talmud, authentic prophecy got withdrawn from the world after the destruction of the first temple. Well, Jeff, how do you know that? How do you know what Jews think? Well, I think the Jewish Encyclopedia might know how Jews think. And it was a Jewish encyclopedia that said authentic prophecy got withdrawn from the world after the destruction of the first temple. And that Malachi, the last book in what you would call the Old Testament, the last book of the Old Testament says that Malachi, the Babylonian Talmud says that Malachi was the last authentic prophet. Yeah, okay, Jeff. But think about this. Think about this. Focus in. Understand the significance. The Bible is the book that you say, not you almost, what are we up to now? We're about to hit to another mark. Not you subscribers say, but you visitors say, and you patrols say, and you people that come here and look but don't want anybody to know you're here. We know you're here. You say that this book contains your sacred prophecy. This book, the Bible, it's the book for you, not me. It says, you say that it contains all your prophecies. And you say it's prophecies that are coming to pass. But this book was written by Jewish people. I got it right here. I don't want to pull it out because it'll make all the other books fall. Your Old Testament was written by Jewish people. Your New Testament was written by Jewish people. And all Jewish people believe the Jewish prophets, the Jewish scribes, the Jewish Pharisees, the Jewish Talmud. They believe their scriptures. And if the Jews wrote your Bible prophecy, and if the Jews know that real prophecy got withdrawn from the world after the destruction of the first temple, and if real Jews know that Malachi was the last authentic prophet, and Jews are still writing your prophecy, what do they know? They know prophecy has come to an end, and they're using it as a tool to fool the fools that are still willing to be fooled. Think about that. They know it's over. They know there's no prophecy, but they're still writing prophecy. Why? Because they know that prophecy is a tool to fool a fool that's still willing to be fooled. That's a fool. That's amazing. That's amazing. And those of you that believe in the New Testament, the fellow that wrote 2/3 of it, supposedly, the so-called Apostle Paul, he was a Pharisee, supposedly. Were he a real person? He was a Pharisee. And at one time, he was next in line to be the high priest. And as such, this Paul character gave you an encoded revelation in 1 Corinthians 13:8, and I bind the power of these words. He said, where there are prophecies, they will cease. And let me look at something real quickly that I did not look at while I was putting this together. I want to see if he did say they've already ceased. Maybe he made it even more of a revelation than I think. I don't think so, but let's look at it anyway. Take a quick look. This gives you an idea of how I study. This gives you an idea of the things that I look at. I just don't sit around, eat mushrooms, smoke weed, or do whatever else these people do to wait till I could open myself up to get a message from an entity. I actually study. Isn't that amazing? Let me show you how I'll study. Like that just hit me like, I wonder. I'll spare you singing the song that's running through my mind. But here it is. This is what I was thinking about. Where is it? Charity suffers long. 8. Where there be prophecies, they shall fail. So I'm asking myself what I was going to say originally. It's on the screen. Paul tells you, because he's a Pharisee, Paul was a Jewish person. Paul understands the Talmud. Paul understands the Mishnah. Paul understands the Tanakh. Paul understands all of that. So Paul knows that all prophecy ended with the destruction of the first temple. Paul knows that Malachi was the last prophet, and Paul's writing like 500-600 years after Malachi, if Paul was a real person. And he says prophecies will fail. Now, is he just telling you in an encoded message? Because he already knew they had failed, because he's a Jew. He already knew they had failed with the destruction of the first temple. And ironically, he's writing this just after the destruction of the second temple. So it's a clue within a clue within a clue. It's like a hello. This temple's destroyed. Prophecy ended when the first one was destroyed. Wake up, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Ooh, I'm hungry. So Paul and all the Jews knew that prophecy was ended, but why are they still using it? Because it works so fantastically. But here's a little insight. So I'm wondering, did he just say they'll fail because he knew they had failed and he's given us a little encoded message? Or does this word shall also have the potential to be rendered as they already have failed? So let's look at it. How do you do that, Jeff? Will you click on the hyperlink? Where there are prophecies, they will cease. No real help there. The easiest thing to do is click up here on interlinear. So this is going to give us word for word the Greek. New Testament was originally written in Hebrew, but it's going to give us the Greek. So let's see. This is the closest we can get. Where there's prophecies, they will be done away with. So let's look at this word and see what this word really means. They will be rendered inoperative. They will to abolish, to render inoperative, to abolish. I don't believe these guys because a lot of this is commentary. So what I want to do is look down here at what the word really means. Because remember, it's word 25 or 2673. And 2673 comes from kata, which means down, against, or according to. And this word, to be idle. Interesting. So it means, if we break it down, it means to be idle. It looks like to me, it's saying that they've already been shut down. Let's see what it means. To make completely inoperative. That's what the word means. The word just means to make completely inoperative. It means to render inoperative, to abolish. Abolish. What is the main? See, this is what is abolished. These little numbers mean how many times it's been used in the New Testament. Abolished 4 times. Now, look, you got to understand what I'm saying here. This is really important. This is a great, big, huge realization. It's not a revelation because we didn't get this from no spook in the sky. We got this from studying. What does it mean? Where there is prophecies, they will be done away. We put a bunch of words, but it's really just one word. Where there are prophecies, what does it mean, 2673? Where there are prophecies, it means they're abolished. That's the majority rendering within the text. 4 times it said abolished. 1 time it said did away, which is the same thing as abolished. Another 4 times it says done away, which is the same thing as abolished. Nullified another time. Removed another time. Rendered powerless another time. Severed another time. So let's add up these times. Abolished 4. Bring to an end 5. Did away 6. Done away 10. Nullified 11. Removed 12. Rendered powerless 13. Severed 14 times. It means it's done, been done. It's done, been did. It's over. Future will be abolished. 1 time. 2. 3, 4, 5. We're being nice. 6. So if it means one thing 14 times and it means another thing 6 times, what does a scholar say? Scholar says, well, objectively, 14 times it said it's already been abolished. 6 times, well, we have to look at the context. And if we go down here, I mean, it's idle, it's unemployed, it's inactive, it's inoperative, it's brought to naught, it's made of none effect, it's already ceased, it's been put an end to, it's been done away with, it's annulled, it's abolished, it's ceased, it's passed away, folks. from the scriptures themselves. We can very confidently say, and this is what I do, this is an insight into how it's done. We can confidently say that Paul told you where there's prophecy, they've already been abolished. Paul told you in plain, certain terms, prophecy's already ceased. And yet Paul continues to talk about prophecy. And other writers concurrent with Paul continue to talk about prophecy. Other Jewish writers, why? They know that it's ceased, and they told you it ceased. So you should know. It's called plausible deniability. Look, we told those guys plain out that prophecy had already ceased. It's not our fault that they wanted to listen to gurus on ass media instead of study for themselves. Paul knew that prophecy had already been abolished at the destruction of the first temple. You should know. Now you do. The Jews knew that wrote the book. It's already been abolished. Now you know. So why do they keep using it if they know it's been abolished and they've already told you it's been abolished? Because it continues to work so fantastically. Why does it continue to work so well? It continues to work so well because they know that most of you are lazy. They know that most of you will not study. They know that most of you will not learn to do the very simple steps that we just did to see. So they can continue to fool you with prophecy. It's just like the mainstream media. Cynthia was listening to X22, and I had this realization. We've got this idea within our community that the mainstream media is here to deceive us. That's not true. The mainstream media is not trying to deceive people like me. The mainstream media is not trying to deceive people like you. The mainstream media knows that we know that they're fake news. The mainstream media is not written to deceive you. The mainstream media is not written to deceive me. The mainstream media does not exist to deceive patriots. The mainstream media does not exist to deceive people that believe in Q. The mainstream media is not written and produced to deceive people that are seeking truth. The mainstream media and prophecy is written to keep the sleepers asleep, to keep those people that are happy in the fear and guilt control matrix happy in the fear and guilt control matrix. Here's a perfect example. We see President Trump go out for a rally, 10,000 people. We see the streets lined with people. We see tremendous enthusiasm for President Trump. We see Joe Biden go out and there's 10 people. Nobody's waiting to see Joe. Nobody's waving signs at Joe. And we know that President Trump is way up. So when the mainstream media writes, oh, Biden's up by 9 points in this poll, Biden's up by 7 points in that poll, Biden's up by 11 in that poll, the polls are good for Biden. They're not trying to trick us. They know that we know. But here's what they're trying to do. All the people that aren't like us, all the people that don't care, all the people that just hear what they believe, think, oh, Biden's up by 11, 10, 11, 12 points. Why do they care? Here's why they care. Because when November 3rd comes and goes and Trump wins 45 states and trounces Biden, then all the people that have been listening to the mainstream media say, but Biden was up so far in the polls, Trump had to have cheated. Do you see? Now you get it. They're not aiming at us, the mass media. They're aiming at the sheep. And they want the sheep to be all upset because the polls showed that Biden was way up, so Trump must have cheated. The reality is that Biden's never been way up. Hell, most of the time, Biden's not even up. And I'm not talking about his sex life. I'm just talking about being awake. That's how the mass media works. They're not trying to deceive you. They're trying to deceive everybody that's not like you. And prophecy is much the same way. So even though people should know better, even though we should know better, there's too many people within our community that don't know better. And that's why they continue to use prophecy, even though they know it's ended, even though they've told you it's ended. But it still works so fantastically because so many people that aren't you within our subscriber base are lazy, won't study, won't find it. And then there's a whole nother group of people that I can show them right in the text like we just did. Paul said there used to be prophecy, but it ceased. It's done away. It's gone. It's over. But what are you still after? Ooh, prophecy. We want some prophecy. We love some prophecy. And Paul said that prophecy ended 400 years before the New Testament was written. That means every prophecy in the New Testament is bogus. Every prophecy in the New Testament has nothing to do with the future. Because true prophecy, if it ever were real, was gone. Wow. So that's prophecy. What's communism? Because we're talking about Bible prophecy being communist propaganda. What's communism? It's a philosophical, social, political, economic ideology whose goal is the establishment of a socioeconomic order structured upon the ideas of common ownership and redistribution of wealth. What's communism? Take everything from everybody that has gathered up some stuff and give it to everybody that hasn't gathered up no stuff. And of course, the one that's taken gets to keep a lot of it before he gives it. There's two classes, the proletariat, that's the working class, and the bourgeoisie, those are the evil people that make money. And communist revolution would be to put the working class, quote unquote, in power, take all the businesses and all the land and all the means of production and let just the best people own it, just the smart people own it. And that way they would equally redistribute all wealth formerly held by the bourgeoisie. That's great if you get to decide who gets what. If you get to decide who's proletariat and who's bourgeoisie, it works out real well. Doesn't work too great for you and me because we don't get to decide. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Shifty Schiff, these guys would love this system. Do you want Nancy Pelosi deciding, oh, you're proletariat, you're bourgeoisie? Do you want Sleepy Joe? Do you want Kamala? Do you want Mitt Romney? Lindsey Graham? Do you want little Marco deciding who's proletariat, who's bourgeoisie, who gets taken from, who gets given to? Do you really want that? No, you don't. And if you look at the video I just did a few days ago called Jesus is a Terrorist and a Communist, BLM, Antifa, Christianity, all in together, can you handle the truth? It's on this channel. You'll get a full handling of this subject. But this is just real quickly. But here's the important thing. Most objective, empirical, scholarly experts believe that the earliest expression of communism on the earth was Christianity. Christian communism was the earliest form of this theological and political theory based upon the view that Christ compelled Christians to support communism as an ideal social system. And we went through all of these verses. They all sold their stuff and had all things common. If you made some money, you had to bring it to the party. And if you didn't bring it all, they killed you. The evidence in the Bible and in anthropological studies proves that the earliest communist society established on planet Earth was Christians. Communism was born with Christians. The Christian church started by who wrote the Bible? Remember, we just talked about it. Who wrote the Bible? The same people that said prophecy ended with the destruction of their first temple. Who wrote the Bible? They wrote the Bible. The Bible invented communism, ergo they invented communism. And every single communist revolution, including Christianity, was started by those guys that wrote the Bible, those guys that said prophecy is over, those guys that said it ended when their first temple was destroyed. You know what I mean? From then till now, every single communist revolution, including this one they're trying right now, comes from them. Why do you think Fox News, which is spelled F-A-U-X, Fox News didn't want Newt Gingrich telling everybody that the Black Lives Matter and that Antifa is funded by George Soros money? Why didn't they want that to be known? Let's see. George Soros is, oh yeah, George Soros is from those guys. I'll just start going, or cough, cough. George Soros, oh yeah, I get it. Newt, you can't be saying that stuff. They don't want people to know the truth. FAUX News doesn't want people knowing the truth. So the Christian church started by is the inventor of communism. But it's a specific brand of modern communism that we're facing now. I'm giving you a great lesson here. You should pay money for this. It's so good. And it'd be worth it. Whatever it has to pay, it'd be worth it. Joke. Modern communism is Christian liberation theology. Jeff, what the hell is that? Liberation theology believes that God has a preference for the poor and oppressed, and it's based upon the Sermon on the Mount. And I've got another great video on the Sermon on the Mount. And I'm going to find out, I've got all these videos out there. There's like 3,000 of them. I'm getting worried. I'm going to go through and dump them all to I got an external hard drive. And I'm going to find out how much data it is and how big of a external hard drive / thumbnail I have to have in order to get all of my videos on that thumb drive. And once I find out, I'll find out how much it costs me to get a thumb drive, how much it costs me to mail a thumb drive or an external hard drive. For those of you that might want to have all of our nearly 3,000 videos, over 3,000, it's right there, on a hard drive. We'll see. But anyway, they think that God loves the poor and oppressed more, and that's based upon the Sermon on the Mount. That's the beatific, called the Beatitudes. Blessed are they, that blah, blah, blah. The Jesuits were and are the leading champions of liberation theology. And guess who was one of the leading champions of liberation theology? The former Father Bergoglio, now known as Pope Francis. Pope Francis has argued and continues to argue for the redistribution of wealth, having done so as recently as February of this year. This is what the Pope said. Time, experience, and reflection have purified liberation theology. We've purified it. It's purified communism. The Pope, the freaking Pope. I'm not making it up. The freaking Pope says we got purified communism now. Purified communism. It's purified liberation theology in its attempts to make clear what the gospel, and the word gospel means the victories of the people that are in charge, says about social injustice. Central American Marxists, Pope said it, were the pioneers in the Christian struggle for social justice. Let me get this straight. How have you never heard this? Why? And it still boggles my mind to this day. How many YouTube channels are there? Thousands. How many preachers are there? Way too many, somebody said, and I agree. And out of all these preachers and all these channels and all these podcasts and all these radio shows, how is it even statistically possible that there's only one guy, this guy, that talks about this stuff? And how is it possible that we only got 46,000 and change? And I love every one of you, and we're growing. But it beggars the statistical mind. But anyway, The gospel, the best expression of the gospel, in the opinion of the Pope, came from Central American Marxists, and now they've even purified that. But wait, there's more. The last Pope, who's still in Rome, by the way, Cardinal Ratzinger, who became, what was he, Pope Benedict, right? He said he issued 2 major documents on liberation theology, praising the movement's concern for the poor, praising their concern for justice, but condemning their tendency to rely too heavily on communism. So what happened? They relied a little too heavily on communism. So now it's been purified. So now we got communism light. And that's what we're seeing now by the mass media, by the ass media, and through Christian prophecy. We're seeing liberation theology. And think about how often you hear these things that I'm about to talk about. Liberation theologians fight poverty. How often do you hear Democrat, deep state politicians talk about fighting poverty? How often do you hear Black Lives Matter, Antifa talk about fighting poverty? How often do you hear them talk about greed? Because poverty is all about greed. Ain't got nothing to do with lazy people. It's all about greed. How often do you hear that? How often do you hear that there needs to be political activism to bring about economic justice, to end poverty, and to bring about human rights? That's all you hear. That's communism. Liberation theology is not about evangelization. They ain't trying to get anybody saved. It's all about what? Ethical action against social struggles against capitalism. That's all you hear. Liberation theology stresses action over orthodoxy, so much so that only if you're engaged in armed struggle against the state can you receive the Eucharist. This is Christianity. This is communism today, and it's also Christianity today, as I'll prove to you. Do you know what's coming? If you don't go vote for Donald Trump on November 3rd, and if somehow Sleepy Joe wins, then dies, Kamala takes over, or whatever they got planned, if you are not engaged in armed struggle against American ideals, you won't be able to take the Eucharist. You won't be able to take communion. You won't be able to get your money. But that's not going to happen because we're going to vote for Donald Trump on November 3rd. You want proof? Here's some proof. Pope Francis, on February 2020, told an assembly of Jesuits how he once asked a Central American bishop how sainthood was progressing for Archbishop Oscar Romero. He was the Jesus of liberation theology. And that bishop told Francis it's absolutely out of the question. It would be like canonizing Marxism, which is communism. So this bishop told Father, what was his name, Bellino or whatever, Pre-Franny, we can't give sainthood to this guy because that would be equivalent to canonizing Marxism, canonizing communism. We can't canonize this guy, or we have just made communism. We've just given communism sainthood in Christianity. In October, forget the October, that must be wrong. I worked really hard on this. Francis has canonized Romero and called him a prophet. Think about that. Francis has canonized Marxism. Francis has canonized communism. Francis the Jesuit. You can't make this stuff up, and I don't. Jeff, you can't say that Christianity is communism. Yes, I can, because Pope Francis already said it. Well, Jeff, that's just the Catholics, not us Protestants. Really? Go down a list of what Protestants believe and what Catholics believe. There's more differences between you and your wife than there are between Catholics and Protestants. You're in bed together. You're in bed together. Christianity is communism. Communism is Christianity. So what's propaganda? This one's going to blow you away. absolutely blow you away. I wish that I knew that you had taken your C60 Purple Power this morning, because then if you had taken your C60 Purple Power, I would know that you're feeling good. I would know that the heavy metals aren't infesting your brain. I would know that your mitochondria are firing on all cylinders and you are being energized from the cellular level on up. I would know that you got all of the oxidants out of you. I would know that you are living in physical optimization. I'd know that you still got some good libido and you're still a happy and healthy person, and that you could understand these things. But unfortunately, I don't know that, because most of you aren't taking this. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the C60 logo, give it to your dogs, take it yourself. You can use it externally on wrinkles, cuts, stuff like that. It's really an amazing, amazing product. But what is propaganda, ladies and gentlemen? That is not propaganda, I guarantee you. You won't believe where propaganda came from. You will not believe it. I didn't believe it till I saw it. It's amazing. Propaganda is communication that's used to influence an audience and further an agenda, which is not, see, if you stop there, then what I'm doing is propaganda. I am trying to influence an audience. I am trying to further an agenda. But wait, there's more, because propaganda tries to influence an audience, tries to further an agenda in a way that's not objective, and may present facts selectively to encourage a particular synthesis or perception, or use loaded language to produce an emotional rather than a rational response to the information that's presented. That right there, everybody else on YouTube is using propaganda except me. I know that's a big statement, but I'm not trying to get you to believe anything. Don't care if you believe it. I'm just the mailman. I don't write this stuff. I just give it to you. But everybody else on YouTube is not objective. They've already got an idea in mind, and they're trying to push it on you. Everybody else selectively uses facts. I give you all of the facts. And everybody else is trying to force a particular synthesis or a perception. Not me. I'm trying to make you make your own perceptions. And everybody else is using loaded language to produce an emotional rather than rational response to the information that's presented. Sometimes I do that because sometimes you need to slap a bitch that's delirious to get him to think straight. But you know what I'm saying. Propaganda is often associated with governments, activist groups, companies, religious organizations, the media, and individuals. But, individuals can also produce propaganda. It's not just those groups. And a wide range of materials and media are used for conveying propaganda. New technologies. You're going to find out that propaganda began when the printing press began. You won't believe it, but I'll show you anyway. There's a little thing called, and I just forgot what the little thing's called, etymology. Etymology. Should I give you the definition of etymology? Etymology. Definition of etymology. Okay, let me show you this, because this is really important. Because, Jeff, you're just making stuff up. Jeff, you're lying to us, really? Because here's what etymology means. Etymology means the history of a word. The history of a word shown by tracing its development since its earliest recorded occurrence in the language where it's found, then tracing its transmission from one language to another, analyzing it into its component parts, identifying its cognates in other languages, or by tracing it and its cognates to a common ancestral form in an ancestral language. Well, Jeff, that sounds really boring. That's why you still believe prophecy, because you think that's boring. That's why you're still indoctrinated, because you think that's boring. That's why you're still giving money and spending time watching channels that are spilling nothing but BS, because you think that's boring. Etymology is studying. Etymology is enlightenment. Etymology is unindoctrination, because you got to know what the word means. what it meant when it was created and what it means now. Let me give you an example, cousin or potential cousin, because I know you're not all cousins yet, but you will be. Let me show you a little example here. The history, the etymology of the word propaganda. Where did the word propaganda come from? The Nazis. No, Nazi's not even a word. Where did propaganda come from? Originally, we're talking the etymology. The etymology, the history of the word propaganda. Where did it come from? Came from the Catholic Church, 1622. Oh, snap. How am I the only guy? How am I the only guy that says this? I'm not the smartest guy on the planet. I promise you I'm not. Just ask Cynthia. She knows. Propaganda was derived from a new administrative body of the Catholic Church created in 1622. But wait, it gets better. Propaganda came from the Catholic Church in 1622 as part of the Counter-Reformation. Oh, I'm really, really good. I'm so good. This is why I'm the best in the world at what I do. This is why I am, with apologies to Chris Jericho, le champion of biblical revelation, spiritual interpretation, and anything else I put my mind to. Propaganda invented by the Catholic Church. The word in 1622 is part of the Counter-Reformation. And it was originally called Congregation for Propagating the Faith, but they simply started calling it propaganda. 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 What's propaganda? In its etymological roots, propaganda is propagating the Catholic faith, propagating the Christian faith. The Christian church invented propaganda. The Christian church invented propaganda. And who was in charge of inventing the propaganda, spreading the propaganda, enforcing the propaganda? A little group of fun guys called the Jesuits. And they still are. So every single person that is preaching, teaching, believing, supporting biblical prophecy is preaching, believing, supporting Jesuit doctrine and communism. Well, Jeff, how do you prove that? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Every single thing that you call Bible prophecy comes from a book by a Jesuit named Francisco Ribera. He's the father of Christian eschatology, which is prophecy, all prophecy. Every single thing that you call prophecy, it was invented by this guy. Everything that you call prophecy was unknown to the world until this Jesuit wrote this book of propaganda. I am blowing people's heads apart today. Man, I've always been good, but I'm really good right now, really good. Everything that you know is biblical prophecy was invented by this Jesuit. He wrote a 500-page book in 1585. Well, that's interesting because 1585, he writes the book. The Reformation started about that same time. Then they had the Counter-Reformation. And then in 1622, just a couple years later, they write and invent propaganda. Isn't that an interesting turn of events? We've got 1550, 1570. We've got the Reformation starts. 1585, the Counter-Reformation starts. 1622, propaganda is invented. Does anybody see a theme? Let's start the Reformation, which is divide and conquer. Started by a guy named Cohen. guy named Tyndall. And then let's start the Counter-Reformation, which is divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And the printing press is invented by Johannes Gutenberg. And then we got propaganda. He writes a 500-page book in 1585 called the Book of Revelation. It's a commentary on the Book of Revelation called Sacrum Beati Ioannis Apostoli ad Evangelistiae Apocalypsin Commentary. I think that means the sacred writings of John the Apostle and the news of the apocalypse, commentary on the apocalypse, loosely. Every single doctrine of Christian prophecy you hear, every single doctrine of Christianity that gets you all hot and bothered, every single doctrine of Christian prophecy that you are so hooked on like crack, every single doctrine of Christian prophecy you hear any and everybody preach today is from this Jesuit teacher employing propaganda from the organization that created communism. Well, like what, Jeff? Well, like Signs of the Times, Jesuit. Rapture, Jesuit. Oh, we're all going to be persecuted, chopping heads, Jesuit. Oh, the mark of the beast, Jesuit. Who the tribulation it's going to be, Jesuit. The future Antichrist, who's it going to be? Jesuit. Oh, they're going to rebuild the temple, Jeff. They got the priest right now. They got the heifer. It's underground. It's in Moscow. It's somewhere. Jesuit. Oh, Jeff, but the Trumps are going to come. The Trump Pence. Jesuit. Not Trump and Pence, but the idea. The vials, the seals, the bowls. Jesuit. The second coming. Jesuit. One world government. Jesuit. One world religion. Jesuit. And start thinking about this. The Jesuits are communists. And the Jesuits want us to believe that stuff's going to get really bad. And there's going to be depopulation. And they're going to be persecuting us. And then they're going to do something financially where you got to have this to have that. And then it's really going to get bad. And then somebody's going to come up to save us. They're going to rebuild the temple. All this stuff's going to fall on our heads. But then somebody's going to save us. And we're going to have one guy ruling the world and one religion. It's a communist agenda. This is how communism works. From A to Z, or Z if you're listening in Canada. That's funny. I'm doing the cough noise. Merlin heard it out on Cynthia's computer, and he's barking because he thought it was a dog. That's hilarious. This is communist agenda. This is Christian agenda. This is prophecy agenda. This is really, really great realization information. Prophecy and communism align. Once you allow yourself to see it, and some of you still can't, but if you would allow yourself to see it, the fact that prophecy and communism align is unmistakable. The fact that prophecy is communist propaganda is unmistakable. It was created by the same people, written by the same people, promoted, funded by the same people. I don't know what's the matter with me today. Don't know what's the matter with me today. And do you really wonder why nobody will debate me about this? I don't wonder. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to debate me. It's going to take some work, but I will debate me because nobody else is brave enough to do it. I will debate me. And the fact of the matter is, I know the anti-Jeff position better than any of them know it anyway. I know more about Christian prophecy than any one of these people on YouTube talking about Christian prophecy. I guarantee it. I'm the most qualified person to debate me. Old Jeff is the most qualified person on the planet to debate new Jeff. So you know what? I'm just going to debate myself. Listen to what I said. Don't read into it. I'm just going to debate myself. I'm going to produce the videos of me debating me. The best Christian apologist ever, me, will debate Le Champion, me. The best Christian apologist ever, me, will debate Le Champion, me. And you will decide what is true, because none of these other babies, these chickens, these little poussoirs, these little lip dicks, they won't do it. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that. Once you allow yourself to see it, the fact that prophecy and communism align is unmistakable. The fact that prophecy is communist propaganda is unmistakable. Signs of the times. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. Kingdom will rise against kingdom. Persecution of Christians. They'll deliver you up to be afflicted. They'll kill you. You'll be hated. Great tribulation. Nobody's going to be saved unless those days be shortened. Mark of the beast. Everybody's got to take this mark if they want to be able to buy or sell. Antichrist. He opened one of the seals. Somebody went forward conquering and to conquer. When they say peace and safety, destruction will come upon them. What happens when communism starts taking over? You hear of wars and rumors of wars, don't you? What happens when communism starts taking over? Nation rises against nation, kingdom rises against kingdom. That's the way it works when communism, see, it's the same thing, starts taking over. What happens to Christians and anybody else that has a religious faith, generally speaking, in communism, at least at the beginning? They get afflicted. They get killed. They get hated. And it's great tribulation. Lots of wars. Lots of bad stuff happening. When communism rises. When communism rises, the whole financial system gets reset where you have to have something they say you have to have serving the party in order to get any goods. Somebody rises out conquering and to conquer. One guy takes it over. The party takes it over. And when you think there's peace and safety, that's when they hit you, the communists. Prophecy is a supposed foretelling of the future. And what prophecy is really doing is leveraging propaganda, which they invented. They're leveraging propaganda that's not objective. They're presenting facts selectively to influence and encourage us to accept a particular perception in our minds by using loaded language to produce an emotional rather than a rational response to the information that's being presented. So we don't see it for what it really is and actually end up desiring our own enslavement by clamoring for the prophecy that is communist, having been swayed by its propaganda. Whew. Somebody should just carve that on some granite somewhere. This is the definition of the fear and guilt control matrix. We desire our own enslavement by clamoring for prophecy to be fulfilled that's really communist, having been swayed by its propaganda. You know what it's like? It's like a bunch of Christians who say they love freedom, a bunch of patriots that say they love freedom, praying for plastic Jesus to come back so his father can establish a kingdom in Jerusalem where everybody will be ruled by one guy, one world government with an iron rod. That's communism. Are you stupid? That's communism. One world religion. Only the religion of the Father is going to be allowed. That's pretty cool if you're the Father, but what if you're not? And we are desiring Christians, we're so afraid of one world religion, but you're praying for one world religion. All Christians, we're so afraid of one world government, you're praying for one world government. Why? Because you've been subjected to propaganda that has taken people that know we don't want to be ruled by one guy. We don't want to be forced to have one religion. But they have totally warped your mind so that the thing you fear most is the thing that you desire the most. But Jeff, it's Jesus. But Jeff, it's God the Father. We don't mind him being the one with the iron rod. We don't mind having to do what he says. Really? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. If you're comfortable with one world religion, if you're comfortable with one world government, if you're comfortable being a slave to an omnipotent, almighty potentate ruling from Jerusalem, good luck with that. I'm not, we're not, and we're not going to let it happen. It's too horrible to believe, but we must see it. See this. It's crystal clear. Prophecy and propaganda were invented by the same people at the same time. The Christian church and those other people invented both, and they were designed to work together in order to facilitate their ultimate goal, one world order communism. Prophecy is designed to soften us up and cause us to willingly accept and even embrace a disguised communism. End-time prophecy and communist revolution look the same because they are the same. But Jeff, does my favorite YouTube person know? Does my pastor know? Does Father John know? Are they willing communist propagandists? Who cares? Who cares what they know and don't know? Who cares? Now you know the reality. We do care, but you know what I'm saying. It's taken me 40 years to fully comprehend, and now it's beyond question because I've had a series of realizations. We are living in the end times. But it's their end times. It's the end of their world. It's the end of their lives. It's the end of their propaganda. It's the end of their agenda, not ours. Their world's ending. They're going down to defeat. But we who are divine, we who are sovereign, we who are free, we who are objective, we who are empirical, we who are studious, we've read the script. We stopped believing it was scripture, saw it for script. We've read it. We've decoded it. We've figured it out. And we are on the brink of victory. We are on the brink of victory. Bible prophecy is communist propaganda. Now we see it. Now we've actually been told. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages, it doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. I wish we could have had Cynthia on with us today. She's having a little back trouble, but she will be back. Before too long. Oh, sometimes I make myself laugh. I wish I made other people laugh more, but that's okay. Let's go to the chat room. What do we got? 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 Is this Cynthia telling me something? I got to make sure. You never know. It's probably just President Trump. Yep, it's President Trump. If you ever give money to President Trump, you will never feel lonely again. And that's okay. I can live with it. What else we got? I'm just looking for something. Is everybody saying hi? We thank you. Yeah, we're all happy. Eschatology, emphasis on the scat, which means doo-doo, poo-poo. Good one, Brandon. Good one, Brandon. People want to know about prophecy because they would rather take that route than going to a medium. Oh, it's just Christian black magic. Oh, we want prophecy, but yeah, exactly, Harry. It's called hypocrisy. Let's see. Nobody wants to be a better man because they follow the script. They're just a bunch of NPCs following the programmed line, says Joe. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Why change when Jesus bought you as is? Oh, that's a good point. Good point. What else we got? An as-is product, Joe says. I don't really follow that one. Uncle Kester says this is going to be biblical. That's funny. He got a new picture. He got some of his friends or family in it. Good looking group. Let's see. Matthew says Jeff is crushing again. I really am crushing. Thank you for noticing, Matthew, because I was thinking myself, I'm really crushing, but it's nice to hear somebody else say they were crushing. Laura Ann Cox recycles my quotes daily. Feel free to do so. They have ceased as of 70 AD. I agree with you, Tracy, but those people say it ceased when the first temple was destroyed, which is probably true because they've been using it, as I just showed you, ever since. But at least by 70 AD, it died. I've made Bible study so much better. I hope that I can make you stop doing it. Anyway, I wonder who wrote the book of love. That's funny. We are prophecy busters, says Tracy. No doubt about it. Prophecy's like an intention. You're the prophet of your own life, so choose your words wisely. I have people in my life that I wish I could choke every now and then. If I could hold some throats for 6-7 minutes, I could solve all of the problems. Why do you say things out loud that you don't want to happen? You're giving power to them. You're giving power to them. I love the sanity of this channel. Thank you, AWB Porter. Why do people find comfort in a script, says Joe? Because they want security. They want a firm ground, if you will. They want somebody else to tell them what to do so they don't have to figure it out for themselves. It's just that simple. And Tracy says someone an escape hatch. Very, very true. Heavy Arm says, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate your will and consistency to tell the truth. Thank you, Heavy Arms. I appreciate that very much. The Bible tells you you're a sinner with impurity and a lowly monster. Instead, you're a god and need no guru. Well said, Harry Christie. Well said. Are people so gullible as to follow that mind game? Look around. The answer is yes. Yes. Jude says that's a good way to look at this about the media. I thought it was a great realization. Cynthia's like, well, yeah, duh. I'm like, no, that's not just duh. That's like big. But Cynthia is an advanced thinker, so she already knew that. She's like, look, you're like telling me this wall's white, bro. I got it. Plus, she was listening to something else, and I was interrupting her. I foresee Trump winning 95% of the popular vote. I think you're going to be close. The human trafficking issue, when it hits the public knowledge, will unite everyone. I think you're right, Brandon. I think you're right. Oh, Harry breaking down some knowledge. Man, those flags look nice ironed. They look nice ironed. You can't get all the wrinkles out, but I got a lot of them out. Even the elect will be deceived. I missed this one, Harry. You're right. Which means that we're all elect, folks. I know that they say that God has a chosen people, but people are the chosen people of the divine. We're all the elect. Harry, I don't know how I missed this, but Harry said, even the elect will be deceived, means that sheeple will take the poison willingly. So you want to know who the ones that are going to be deceived are? They're the ones that have accepted this. Wow, that's really good. That's really good. All the pusher politicians are related. They are. Joseph, give me a second. I had to recalibrate. The pastor always guides the sheeple to the guillotine. Well, he's such a good shepherd. Remember what the shepherd's favorite meal is. And remember who the shepherd mostly has sex with. Bah. Does your girlfriend call out your name? She says, bah. Anyway, they shut Newt down right away. Yep. They shut Newt down right away. And PJP was getting to the shepherd thing. I just beat him to it a little bit. Ah, such good stuff. Such good stuff. BLM equals Boulay Lodge members. Oh, that's so good, Blue Blood. Because they are. They are right. They were. Obama's pastor was a liberation theology pastor. Tracy Dyer, good one. I forgot it. You know, I know that I'm Le Champion. I know I'm the best in the world at what I do, but one man can't do it all. That's why we need to have cousins. Ooh, pastor calls you to kill their ego while highlighting their own. You got people saying, well, who am I to say that I've got the message from God? And then they have the destiny to say, well, who are you to say that I don't? What kind of, I was going to say a bad word, but what kind of messed up, who are you? Why do you say you got the words of God? Who are you to say that? And instead of answering, they'll turn around and ask you, well, who are you to say I don't? Not only is that like sandbox fifth grade stuff. Anyway, Harry, this is really good. I lived in Portland for about 5 years, and it was a great place back then. Portland is called Rip City, and the reason it's called Rip City is because the basketball team, the Portland Trail Blazers, when they would shoot a basket and they would make it, and you know, if you've ever played basketball, when you hit just the net, you don't hit the rim at all. That's called a rip. So they would shoot, they would make a swish, and the announcer would say Rip City. So that's how Rip City came. But then Harry says, is it R.I.P., rest in peace? Ooh, it all works together. I like it. I need to get a cigar because I love it when a plan comes together. And this is a key, Tracy points out. Liberation theology, and Tracy or Cynthia was saying this the other day. It sounds so good. It's liberation theology. Who could be against liberation? But that's not what it means. Black Lives Matter, that sounds so good. But then you think, well, shit, why does only Black Lives Matter? And Cynthia had several more, like when Soros starts an organization, it's never called some dirty, greedy wants your money to advance his agenda. They never call the organization that. It's called something like the Unicorn Foundation. Cynthia could give you some actual examples. Andrew Snowman, damn good stuff today. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Andrew. That's one hell of a beard you got going there. That's a man for you right there. Like, yeah, this is one that Cynthia was using yesterday. Planned Parenthood. That sounds so good. Who wouldn't want a Planned Parenthood? But they're planning how, and never forget that Planned Parenthood has decimated the black community. Look at how many abortions Planned Parenthood has done. They have killed more black babies than any other color of babies by a long shot. And yet you got these black politicians and these black idiots on Black Loonies movement pushing. They're killing your people, man. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. My family are Seventh-day Adventists. Are they included? Do they read the Bible? Propaganda and Netflix. Oh, yeah, all over the place. Etymology is the origin of words. You got to look at that. No more marching in the army of the Lord. Come on, man. That's a beautiful tie-in, Laura Ann. Communists have armies. What the hell's the Lord got with an army? What does the Lord need with an army? Come on, man. Really? Really? And I really do check this because I want to make sure it's not coming from Cynthia. But it's President Trump. It really is President Trump. You don't believe me, do you? It's President Trump. I don't know if you can see it, but see, it's President Trump. The Schofield Bible, that's what started all of this propaganda in the modern Christian era. Let's see what else. Great Latin, Jeff. Thank you, Harry. I knew I was pretty close. Pagan is good. And it is. See, that's a great example. Oh, that's pagan. You know what pagan means? Pagan means of the earth. And there's really two. Pagan can mean someone that is not down with the prevailing spiritual paradigm. That's one definition. The other definition is redneck. Pagan just means somebody that lives in the country. Let's see. Christians are commies and commies are Christians. Absolutely. How far are you willing to go? All the way, baby. All the way. It just shows that Christians have no clue what they claim to be a part of because they won't study. They're programmed to listen to some guy in a dress or a $10,000 suit because they are just the laity. Don't you understand? I'm going to help you here. And there's still a lot of people here, so I'm going to help you. Let me help you with something. Where is the verse? The spirit, the ministry gifts, and God gave some prophets. Where is that? Gave some prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. Where is that? Prophets. Is that Ephesians? God gave some prophets. I'm still good. It's Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4. In some ways, I'm happy that I still remember that, but in some ways, I'm like, damn, that's still in my head. Still in my head. Where is it? There it is, right there. Let me help you guys. Let me help you something. Let me help you with something here. You Christians, our guests, we're so glad you're here. I want to help you with something. Watch this. Watch this right here. And he gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers to do what? To perfect the saints, because the saints obviously aren't apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, or teachers. They're just the saints. And if you take the S off, they just the ain'ts. They're the R's and you the ain'ts. Well, I'm an apostle. I'm a prophet. I'm an evangelist. I'm a pastor. I'm a teacher. I've been called and you ain't. Don't you see it? They are and you ain't. It's communism. They're part of the party and you ain't. And we're just trying to perfect the saints. And we're trying to do the work of the ministry because obviously it's the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and the teachers that do the work of the ministry, right? We all know that. And the saints, they just the ain'ts, they sit there and they take the work of the ministry. And the prophet, the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, the teachers, they're there to edify the body of Christ till we all come in unity of the faith. That's what you've been taught. That's what you believe. That's what I taught for a long time. But one day I realized, wait a minute, something's wrong, because I looked at it in the original language and I'm like, uh-oh. He gave some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be evangelists, some to be shepherds, some to be teachers. But watch this. To do what? To perfect the saints for the work of the ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ. What? Who's supposed to be perfecting the saints? Who's supposed to be doing the work of the ministry? Who's supposed to be building up the body of Christ? Well, the apostles, the evangelists, the teachers, the pastors, right? No. Look at it one more time. Look at it one more time, and then we'll break it down in English. I'm helping you out here. He gave apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and he gave teachers for what? To do what? to perfect the saints for the work of the ministry. What? For the building of the body of Christ. Do you see it yet? Do you see it yet? Do you see it yet? Let me give it to you. The apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, the teachers are supposed to perfect the saints. What's that word perfect mean there in verse number 12? To equip. They got it right. That's what the word means. To prepare and equip. To prepare and equip the saints for what? The saints to do the work of the ministry. The saints to edify the body. And it's not until the saints stop being ain'ts and stop thinking these people are the ours that we're ever going to get anything done. So they're lying to you even about their gig. Just thought I'd help you with that a little bit. Jeff versus the anti-Jeff. Exactly. Tracy says it sounds dirty. I'm going to debate myself. I knew that somebody would go there. And odds on money, it would have been dire. The Bible is communist propaganda at its highest, says Mr. Ackelwill. Very, very well said. I'll be my own devil's advocate, says Moon Journey. That's funny. Jeff, Cynthia says, do you think that the powers that be are using this script to manipulate the masses, checking the boxes off the list one by one? Abso-damn-lutely. AWP Porter, good's not the word. Brilliant today. Thank you. Randall Smith, on fire today. Thank you. Tell it to me, says Cynthia. I think Jeff has found the list with help from Cynthia. That's a great statement, Jeff. There needs to be a warning label. Absolutely. Jesus is a commie is another great t-shirt. That would be a good one, wouldn't it? Wedding supper of the Lamb. You're invited. The good news is you're invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. Bad news is you're on the plate. You're being served. Oh, I can't wait for the wedding supper of the Lamb. Think it through. The wedding supper of the Lamb. They're serving lamb. You're the lambs. You're the people of his pasture. They're serving you. I can't wait to go get eaten. Consumed. Oh, BLM. Corleone Shoddy says BLM means Biden likes minors. Oh, that's really, really good stuff. Tracy says she's not a dirty girl, but she plays one on YouTube. Harry says perfecting the saints is programming the sheep. It really is. Sonia says, yes, totally. It's their playbook. They wrote it, the Bible. Folks, it doesn't get much better than that. And it doesn't get any better on YouTube than y'all. You guys are amazing. Keep asking questions. Keep questioning answers, because that's how you unindoctrinate yourself. Give us a thumbs up and a thumbs out on your way out. Subscribe and tap that bell twice. If you hate me, you need to do it, because you never know what I'm going to say next, and you got to know. If you love me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Even the beloved sheepdog ends up eating the flock it's protecting. It does. It's just their nature. Wolves in sheep's clothing. We salute our great moderators, Tracy, Jama, all the rest. BLM, burn, loot, and murder from JJ. Cynthia makes this work, and we're so glad to have her, and she'll be back on with us very, very shortly. And through rain, snow, sleet, darkened night, trolls, I, your mailman, will continue to keep my appointed rounds. We're the last generation of real Americans. if we don't go out and vote on November 3rd. So let's go vote on November 3rd. Let's vote for President Trump. So we're not the last generation of real Americans. We can make Americans great again. We can keep Americans great. And we are the last generation of real humans. PC is BS. So are you saying the Bible is bullshit? Well, I didn't say that, but I won't argue with you. Yes, it is complete deception. Prophet Bertrand 777. Yo, Bible prophecy leading us into deception. Trump is the new world order. You were good. Your first part, Bible prophecy is leading us in deception. Exactly right, Prophet Bertrand. Anybody that calls himself a prophet, Trump is the new world order. No, bro. No, bro. No, bro. But thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you, folks. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. And I encourage you to unindoctrinate yourself. And I got to delete this person from the channel because they tried to take over. Everybody say, well, bye. And here's another one. On the way out, we get to say to them, hide from channel. Well, bye. And to all of you, we appreciate you. We salute you. We'll see you again real soon.